Thought that after the war the Nazis vanished. The history books they tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Whilst Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty.
Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either
muted. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Kevin's viewers.
We're doing a normal island and that.
Oh, Sarah's gone. Oh dear.
Also,
Where's Joe's gone?
no, I mean they can't hear this, but fuck Michael in your chat who says, "A wee dono before Beadle demonetizes the stream,"
Fuck's sake!
which is just an absolute violation.
He's got it out for you.
That's a violation.
Oh my god, he is going after you. Sarah, you right?
Can you guys hear me?
I can,
You
yeah.
can now, yeah.
Oh, I was literally like, hello, hello.
Fair enough. Well, hello.
How are we?
Extremely well. How are you?
Yes, great, thank you. Oh my God, dream team! I'm so excited to be here.
True.
I'm so excited too. By
Someone
the way,
said, you're a left-wing racist. You support the persecution of Jews in this country.
yeah, no,
It's not-
I've highlighted that one, so we're definitely gonna have a chat about that later
I'm
on.
glad
Aren't
you said
Well,
that,
to be fair,
yeah.
you did support Jeremy Corbyn, so
Yeah, the worst Jew hater of all time.
literally Hitler. Yes.
Literally.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Michael's in my chat who says, "Sorry, Kev, but if you all turned up on time, the jokes wouldn't have to be written."
Fucking hell.
It's all right. Oh, it's all right. You can tell me that when I turn up at your fucking door, mate. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's all kicking off.
all kicking
Sarah,
Yeah.
on the third story, I've got
Yeah.
some B-roll. I
Sweet.
don't know if it's long enough, so if it pauses, just take it
Go
off,
back a bit.
rather than just
Oh,
leave
okay,
it on
okay.
freeze frame. Otherwise, that'd be
No,
real.
yeah, of course.
Cool. Is everyone all good? Because I'm ready to roll.
I'm ready. Let's go. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, I should just
Yeah.
explain to my people, by the way, the second bit of so the middle bit of the show, I basically won't be on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's like just so in case you were like, anyone was like, oh, they're not letting Kev speak. No, that's planned. There's a quite a get actually. Well done, everyone. That's a decent little interview. Yeah. Nice.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Shall I put the countdown?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, sweet. Ready? I'm gonna pause the silence the music on my end because it's giving trance music.
I can't even hear any music.
It will start soon.
I would start, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We've got James Holmes with the Beatles stuff now.
Cunts.
Although he's
Absolute
happy.
cunts.
He's happy you're here, though.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Look green. Smell green. Be green. Green.
Oh my god, you saying be
Look
green?
green. Yeah.
Oh no.
Smell green.
What are you doing?
Be green.
What fucking Joey Essex here?
Green. Yeah.
Wow.
The banger.
Banger.
It's a banger.
Interesting.
Have a great show.
Hello, happy Friday, and welcome to Normal Islands Live. I'm Curtis Daly, and I'm joined by the main man himself, Kevin Logan. Kevin, I'm so glad you're back.
It's glorious to be here. Any second with you is not a second wasted.
Each intro with you and praise, it tops the one before it. I can't ever keep up. All I can say is, though, I love Fridays with you. It's a fun Friday, although the stories aren't so fun, but at least I get to spend the next hour and a half with you.
And me.
And our producer. You just said it. You just said it, and me,
yeah.
For those that couldn't hear.
They can hear on my end, though, so just bear that in mind, Sarah. When you think you're not, like it's not going through to the turn left people, but my people can hear you. So
that's quite funny. It's almost like you got an exclusive on your end.
Exactly, behind the scenes, yeah.
We've got a great show coming up for you tonight. Nigel Farage claims he can't be bought. A new flotilla will be embarking on a mission to bring aid to Cuba, with an exclusive interview with Progressive International's James Schneider, and the huge news that the ban on Palestine Action has been ruled unlawful by the High Court. You can help us grow by visiting turnleftmedia.co.uk/support to help fund our work, or by becoming a YouTube member for just 99p. On to our first story. Politicians aren't usually one for telling jokes, but Nigel Farage came out with his best joke yet. He claims he can't be bought. Farage uploaded a Reform Party hype video of their latest event and tweeted, "I can't be bullied, I can't be bought, I've stood for the same principles for many decades." Surely no one believes this. I mean, for those that do, let's go through and test to see whether Nigel Farage is an independent politician. Farage accepted gifts worth £10,000 from Abu Dhabi. Farage's latest register of interest shows that he accepted flights and accommodation to attend the Abu Dhabi Formula One Grand Prix in December, paid for by the regime that runs the capital of the United Arab Emirates. This included a front row paddock pass to the event worth £4,500. The records show that Farage also attended meetings during his visit. The Reform leader has previously mocked Prime Minister Keir Starmer for receiving gifts from donors. How about this when he flew to the US and attended the Republican National Convention? Capital HQ, a right-wing PR consultancy previously linked to jailed hard-right political activist Steve Bannon, has been arranging hotels, transport and media appearances in the US for the Clacton MP, for what appears to be a no-fee arrangement. The consultancy has not declared any payments or reimbursement from Farage, but the MP has declared none of this additional help on the UK Register of Interests, claiming instead that the whole trip was funded by the Brexit backer Christopher Harben. It's well documented that Farage has links to the American ultra-conservative movement. This is him shaking hands with a January 6th rioter at the Florida Republican Party fundraiser in March 2025 at a $25,000 a seat event. 7 months later, he belatedly registered, receiving a fee for the speaking engagement from a company called Imperial Independent Media, operating from Washington but registered in Alaska. His parliamentary register shows 3 instalments totaling £25,972. This next part is very interesting. Byline Times can reveal that Farage's benefactor is a pro-Trump political lobbyist embedded in the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 ecosystem, the US conservative plan to dismantle climate policy, rights for women and ethnic minorities, and democratic safeguards. He also has ties to evangelical groups in the US with a history of anti-LGBTQ and anti-abortion activism, and appears to be working actively with Farage to bring this Project 2025 style ideology to Britain. So he has links to anti-abortion groups, which makes his random outburst on abortion back in November 2024 all the more clearer. Nigel Farage suggests MPs should debate rolling back abortion limits. Reform UK leader says it will be worthy discussion and Parliament should get more time to debate things people talk about at home. Remember, that was, completely out of the blue. But Farage is cheap. Incredibly cheap, actually. You could buy him for £71.
Now, it's a bit early in the day, so all I've got actually is coffee, but I hope you enjoy a few pints with the lads tonight. Up the rah!
Sorry. Yes, Farage sells himself for £71 on Cameo and will make a personal video for you. In that instance, he didn't realise he was saying up the IRA. Now, these are just a handful of examples of personal gifts and donations, but what about the political parties Farage led, namely Reform? Christopher Harburn donated more than £15 million over several years, although some estimates say it's more than £22 million, to the Brexit Party and Reform, including the recent £9 million donation, the largest donation in UK political history. Media proprietor Richard Desmond gave 1.3 million to UKIP. Aaron Banks, also with 1 million to UKIP. Paul Sykes, another million to UKIP. Jeremy Hosking, 1.7 million to the Brexit Party and Reform. Nick Candy donated almost £1 million, specifically 990,000 to Reform. Fiona Cottrell gave 750,000 to Reform in 2025. Zahir Youssef, head of policy, bought his way into Reform with 200 grand, and Claudia Harmsworth, £50,000 to Reform. Farage seems to always be extremely close with wealthy people. He also claims that he stood for the same principles for decades. Many people don't agree with Farage, but would say that he means what he says, and I have put myself in that camp too, namely on immigration. He has seemingly never changed his view on it, but his view on immigration isn't even based on principle. He isn't against free movement of people when they're rich. Led by Donkeys produced this short film showing how he helps the rich acquire visas into the UK.
Nigel Farage likes borders.
Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders. Borders.
And he doesn't like migrants.
Migrants. Migrants. Migrants. Hundreds of migrants. Economic migrants.
Sometimes he stands on top of the White Cliffs of Dover, pointing at migrants who are trying to reach the UK and qualify for a British passport in the hope of a better life. But it turns out there are some economic migrants that Nigel likes, and some borders he's happy to help them cross. Take a look at the new Register of Members' Interests, where MPs have to declare which second jobs they've taken. It turns out Farage was just paid £40,000 by a US-based company called Nomad Capitalist. According to their website, Nomad's mission is to help economic migrants transcend borders. But of course, these migrants are not fleeing persecution or desperate poverty. No, they're multi-millionaires fleeing the taxman. And Nomad Capitalist is a wealth consultancy that advises them on how to qualify for passports from different countries so they can offshore their money. So, if you're a wealthy economic migrant, how can Nomad, and by extension Nigel Farage, help you? Well, Nomad say they can grow your passport portfolio and get you multiple second citizenships in different countries. They even tell people to leave your country now and dismiss America and Britain as legacy brand countries. Nomad Capitalists run the Nomad Passport Index, ranking the best passports that economic migrants should try to get their hands on, while showing them how to do it. Farage was just paid £40,000 to give a keynote speech at the Nomad International Conference in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Hundreds of wannabe taxation migrants gathered there to learn how they too can qualify for second, third and fourth passports from 28 different countries. And Nigel Farage was there to inspire them.
I was invited to speak to this group 2 years ago. This audience is about 3 times the size.
Indeed, Nomad billed its conference, the one where Farage spoke, as 4 glamorous days learning the most up-to-date offshore tax strategies. Britain is a wealthy country, but the gap between rich and poor is now, with the exception of the United States, the highest in the developed world. Our public services, like the NHS and schools, are crumbling. And one reason for all this is the ease with which the super rich can move their money overseas to avoid paying their fair share of tax. They can do that because there's an entire industry that exists to help them do it legally. And a British MP, Nigel Farage, works for that industry. For Farage, a world without borders is fine, as long as it's only for the super rich.
I think that's an excellent video, by the way, from Led by Donkeys, but it completely exposes him. So when people say, do you know what, at least he's principled, I don't agree with him, but he means what he says, clearly not true, because immigration, the biggest thing he talks about his entire career, and yet he loves immigration as long as you're rich. And that, I think it's worth pointing out when you listen to politicians who say we need to bring down immigration and that immigration is a problem. You need to understand that they're only talking about working class immigrants. They're not talking about rich immigrants. So it's not a point of policy. All right. He's against working class people crossing borders. But if you're rich, that's fine. It's not very principled, is it? Kevin, the most bought man in political history, is claiming he can't be bought. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, as you point out, he's arguably the most bought man in UK history. And one of the problems, of course, with the political establishment being as corrupt as they are, is that they can't really call him on it because they're all so thick as thieves with exactly the same set of people that do exactly the same set of things. You went through there a litany of ways in which he is compromised financially, as well, of course, as politically, because as a person who likes to point out about how he wants to defend women and girls from Pakistani rape gangs, he's also absolutely fine with Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, Donald Trump. Just saying. Or, of course, Jeffrey Epstein's wannabe best friend, Elon Musk. You know, that sort of thing. But one thing you didn't mention there, partly because I think it's more recent, but he attended the World Economic Forum in Davos, in Switzerland. Which in of itself would be a little bit suspect, given that he claims to be a populist, Nigel Farage, but he was rubbing shoulders with the most rich and powerful evil people on the earth. Surprising that. But it gets even worse when you consider that entire trip was paid for by the economic foundation of a guy called Sasan Gandahari, who is an Iranian-born Kazakh national who is now a UK national, who, again, apparently has funded this, and it will come out in the next tranche of declared members' interests. But what won't be in there, because it's a shell company, is that one of Gandahari's shell companies, an interior design company, gave £200,000 to the Reform Party 6 months ago. I wonder if any of these things have any connections. I wonder if any investigative journalists want to look into that potential conflict of interest and how this man came by his British passport, etc. Just saying. Yeah, he is a ludicrously born, paid-for person, up to and including, of course, that the head of policy at Reform, as you pointed out, Zia Youssef, gave £200,000 to the Reform Party, which is why, of course, he was able to resign from the party, say that Nigel Farage wasn't fit to be Prime Minister, and then was welcomed back into the party 48 hours later. Nigel Farage is the most compromised man that has ever had a chance of becoming Prime Minister, and it's sad to say he probably will do, and then Project 2025 is coming our way.
Yeah, and, you know, good point on the World Economic Forum, because, excuse me, you hear it mostly from the right wing that WEF is like a communist conspiracy. It's not. It's just a group of capitalists circle jerking each other saying, oh, we're going to make the world better. And it was really funny because Nigel Farage's defense going to WEF was, well, I'm going to wag my finger at them. And it really reminded me of Hillary Clinton when she was running against Bernie Sanders for the Democratic nomination in 2016. Obviously, Bernie Sanders was talking about Wall Street, inequality, and Hillary Clinton was like, oh my God, he's a populist to the left. I need to make myself not look like the establishment. And the only thing she could muster up was, well, I went to Wall Street and I told them to cut it out. And everyone laughed at her because, of course, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah,
that's the same with Nigel Farage, because he's schmoozing with the same kind of people that he hangs around with all of the time at the World Economic Forum. And then when someone said, you were literally paid to go on that trip by a billionaire, and he's like, well, I was giving them a good kicking. Which is ridiculous.
No, he wasn't. He was paid for by a guy who's worth £10 billion, who, by the way, as you pointed out, is an economic migrant to this nation. And again, I've got no problem with economic migrants, but apparently he does, unless it's a certain kind of economic migrant that will financially or politically benefit him in some way. He's a disgusting hypocrite. Either way, he was being paid for by a billionaire to go and schmooze with other billionaires. If any Reform people can show me any clips or quotes from him actually attacking anybody, verbally, of course, at Davos, then please do. Because all I see is him being very, very chummy with some of the most, let's say, unpopulist people on the planet.
Yeah. And I think what's really important in politics is to follow the money. And if you look at a political party, what type of money is going into it, that should tell you all you need to know.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I would like to see like big money kicked out of politics, but I understand for a political project, especially if you're the underdog, you need money. Some might say, oh, you've got like a millionaire green capitalist giving money to the Green Party. I forget his name. The one who backs the Labour Party, who should have backed the Greens.
Yes.
He's got what's his name?
That's
Dale Vince, right?
Dale Vince.
He gave money to the Labour Party, but I think he's since come out more towards the Greens, right? He's a rich guy, but he's made his money more ethically. There's a possibility he might give like £1 million to the Green Party. And someone might say, well, that's big money. And I get it. Again, like it's good to criticise big money. But to me, the more important thing is the kind of money. If you've got, a rich guy who's built green-friendly businesses and he gives to the Green Party, it's not controversial, is it? It's what he believes in.
Yeah.
What is important is to look at reform and see where their money's coming from. Yeah. And their money's coming from the oil industry.
Yeah.
Which is harming our planet, which they say, oh no, oil's great,
Yeah.
And go on, yeah.
No, but it also feels a little bit like the kind of Boers comic of, oh, well, you participate in society, therefore I win, I'm very clever. Like, the very people who have financialised the entire system and refuse to make any kind of constitutional reform that would allow for, either state funding of elections or a fairer funding or an actual hard cap, or indeed a commission of some variety with some actual teeth that could punish people who commit crimes, including Nigel Farage, of course, who overspent during the general election, and no punishment was ever issued to him, even though he was found to have been in breach of electoral law. The very people who set that system up are now like, oh, you participate in the system. Like, you did that. You made it impossible for anyone but the rich to run this shit. So the fact that we found one vaguely ethical rich person who is able to financially help in a way that you evil people are not. Because, of course, the kind of people they're getting money from are, like you say, venture capitalists and dark money people and oil money and all the rest of it. That obviously has a massive impact on their kind of policies. Or indeed with the Labour Party, who got Quadrilla Capital, gave them £4 million just after the date at which you have to announce it for pre-election funding purposes.
Very convenient.
Yeah, and then of course changed their policy completely when it came to green investment. What a surprise. They're all thick as thieves. Nigel Farage isn't any different to these people, as much as he tries to claim he is. He is bought and paid for. He's just the new leader of the new Conservative Party.
100%. Absolutely true. We're going to move on to our second story, but that was good stuff there from Kevin. A new flotilla is set for sale called Sorry, let me start again. I've got a bit of a cough today. A new flotilla is set for sale called Nostra America, which translates to Our America, with a mission to provide crucial aid to Cuba as the US continues its blockade. Members of Progressive International, Code Pink, and other direct action and advocacy groups plan to set sail for Cuba next month in the Nostra America, or Our America flotilla, which they said is inspired by the global Samud flotilla missions to break Israel's illegal blockade of Gaza amid the ongoing genocide in the Palestinian exclave. We are sailing to Cuba, bringing critical humanitarian aid for its people, the flotilla organisers said on their website. The Trump administration is strangling the island, cutting off fuel, flights and critical supplies for survival. The consequences are lethal for newborns and parents, for the elderly and the sick. According to Al Jazeera, Cubans are facing an incredibly tough time due to the US embargoes. A US oil blockade is causing a severe energy crisis in Cuba, as the government has been forced to ration fuel and cut electricity for many hours a day. Bus stops are empty and families are turning to wood and coal for cooking, living through near constant power outages amid an economic crisis worsened by the Trump administration steps in recent weeks. President Miguel Diaz-Canel has imposed harsh emergency restrictions from reduced office hours to fuel sales in the backdrop of looming threats of regime change from the White House. The Caribbean region has been on edge since the US forces abducted Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro last month and upped the pressure to isolate Havana and strangle its economy. Venezuela, Cuba's closest ally in the region, provided the country with much-needed fuel. Earlier today, I caught up with Director of Communications for Progressive International, James Schneider.
For the last
Can you
45
explain to our
years,
viewers why
it
was on a
massive
separate
effort from the
to
working
support the
class
Flotilla
I'm so
mission?
sorry.
top 1%.
The
No, it's all right. I
Cuban
don't think I
people
told you
are
that.
facing
No,
and
I
having
could
an
have actually.
intensification
In
of a
2008, the world
decades-long
came to a
blockade
standstill.
against
The
them
market had
Oh,
for
failed.
doing
Capitalism
nothing wrong
was in
other than
crisis.
trying to
Yet
build a
16 years
society
on,
rooted in their sovereignty and in social justice. And
Oops. Can you explain to our viewers why it's so important to support the Flotilla mission to Cuba?
the Cuban people are facing an intensification of a decades-long blockade against them for doing nothing wrong other than trying to build a society rooted in their sovereignty and in social justice. And Donald Trump, since the beginning
Oh my
of this
God,
year,
I feel so
has
bad. I
amped
didn't
up
mean to
so
fuck
aggressively
fine,
that
it's fine, it's
campaign, seizing oil tankers that were going from
How long is
Venezuela
this
to
video?
Nothing
Oh,
bad
8
can
minutes.
happen. It's
threatening
all good.
tariffs
Excellent. I'm gonna
on
make a
any
tea
other
and a
country
wee.
that
Be
sends
back.
oil to Cuba,
Right.
including Mexico, which was picking up some of the slack. Even pirating an oil tanker in the Indian Ocean out of fears that it could deliver some fuel to Cuba. The results of this are, of course, terrible. Imagine a society where you don't have any fuel. Regardless of how well organized and well set up you are, you're going to have terrible shortages, no light. They now are having to ground flights so planes can't get in and out, which of course is difficult and bad for products coming in, but it also means tourism, one of the lifelines for the economy, can't come. For example, Canada, there are lots of Canadians that go on holiday to Cuba every year, even though US Americans can't. And they are, there are some Canadians that are stranded there because the flights can't get back out, and the government advice from Canada is not to come in. So in order to not only support the Cuban people who are the victims who have done absolutely nothing wrong, in order to defend the principle of self-determination, the Cuban people have a right to self-determination. It is not up to the United States to decide what happens in the Western Hemisphere, and to stand up against US imperialism. We are seeing this US imperialism at such an extremely aggressive, crude, and high level under the Trump administration. Of course, it's not a new thing, but it is happening at with such crudity and with no even pretense at anything else. Trump says he wants the oil, he wants to overthrow the Cuban government, and so he is trying to do so and threatening all other countries in the region to the Cuban people. But when flights were grounded and this was amped up so much, the strangulation of Cuba has been ramped up in recent weeks. We decided we had to do something very quickly, which is why we are crowding in people, capacity, funds, vessels, whatever support that we can. And please, if your viewers will go to nuestraamericaflotilla.org and support in any way that they can to make this the largest possible.
Of course, kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, and it was about oil. We know it was about oil. Do you anticipate something similar could happen to Cuba? Of course, they are currently facing an oil blockade from the US.
Well, this is part of the threat, or the purpose, let's say, of the Venezuelan assault by the US, the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro, is to scare everybody else. To scare everybody else that there could be a decapitation of governments, and that the US is going to act with brutal, violent force in the region. That's the threat. But we shouldn't be cowed by that threat, and no one should be cowed by that threat. The only response to this violence from a bully, from a gangster state, is to stand up to it. That's the only language that Donald Trump will understand. He either understands the language of flattery or of self-confidence. And I think that peoples of the world need to stand up with self-confidence and say that they will not be bullied by US imperialism.
I think we'd all know what our response from the government is. They've been obviously incredibly disappointing, to put it lightly. But what would you like to see from our government to support the Cuban people? I feel like it's an ask that's not going to get responded since Keir Starmer seemingly is up Trump's ass. But what moves would you like to see? And if not for our government, but globally, whether it's policy, whether it's anything to show support to the Cuban people?
Well, most countries in the world every single year vote against the illegal blockade of Cuba that the US has been running now for more than 60 years. And I would like to see, and I think we should see, all of those governments, if they are able to make material efforts to support the Cuban people with energy and with humanitarian relief. Cuba should not be isolated from the world with these secondary sanctions because the United States wants to overthrow the example there. And let's be very clear about the reasons why they want to overthrow and have tried every single thing you can possibly imagine: invasion, assassination attempts, economic embargo, fake social media platforms, everything that they can possibly try to do to overthrow the Cuban government for decades. And one part of that is that Cuba used to be, in effect, a US colony, and they would like that back, particularly the former comprador elite, which was highly connected to US mafia organizations, wants to take back over control of the country. And the second is the example. Cuba has run a socialist society, a socialist revolution for decades, which means they have prioritized human health and education and social investment over profit. And you can see the results. Even in the face of this incredible, vicious blockade, Cuban life expectancy is better than the US American. They have better healthcare for most of their people. And it's both the desire for a narrow group of people to enrich themselves off the back of the Cuban people that drives this US violence, and the desire to snuff out an alternative which makes Cuba the biggest exporter of solidarity medical missions in the world. When Ebola flared up in West Africa, who was the first ones there? It was Cuban doctors. When COVID started and the cases were spreading wild in Italy, if you remember, in February 2020, it was Cuban doctors that were immediately rushed there. This is a country that is built on solidarity at home and solidarity abroad. And I think it is incumbent on all the peoples of the world now to stand with Cuba in this very dark and aggressive hour.
You provided the website link for people to support, but how can people support this mission in general? I'm sure there's different roles people can play.
We really need funds. If you go to nuestroamericaflotilla.org, you can sign up there, you can register, you can say what it is that you are able to do. We need funds, we need vessels from the region, and we will need humanitarian supplies. We need people to come on board and support, we need volunteers, we need other organizations, we need large donations, we need small donations, we need everything that we possibly can to next month set off with a flotilla across the Caribbean Sea to reach Cuba and to offer not only a precious lifeline of medicine and food to the people, but also carrying a strong message that the Cuban people are not alone. That when people are sitting in darkness with the lights turned off, when their hospital generators are being rationed, that they know that they are not alone, that it is not helpless, and that the vicious bully that is trying to strangle them will not win.
That was James Schneider, Director of Communications for Progressive International. Now, before we move on, I'll have to do my obligatory plug. It's 2026, and we really want this year to be big for Turn Left. We want to be far more ambitious than last year and to really put us on the map. We would like 2026 to be the year where we can finally have a studio and for our contributors to be paid for the work we do. Your support over the years has been amazing, and we are ready to take this to the next level. We rely on small donations, so if you want to be part of a media organisation that seeks to destroy the oligarchs, then please head over to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. There you can support us monthly on Patreon, or there is another link for a one-time contribution. You can also become a YouTube member for 99p. On to our final story. Huge news in regards to Palestine Action, as the government's ban on the group has been ruled unlawful by the High Court. Huda Amori, co-founder of Palestine Action, won a legal challenge to Yvette Cooper's decision to ban the group. The prescription of Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation prompted huge condemnation across the country, which led to thousands of arrests for those who showed support, including those who were peacefully holding up signs. Since the 5th of July, punishment for showing support of being a member of Palestine Action could land you in prison for up to 14 years. That was an example of extreme state overreach, an unprecedented move to brand them as terrorists. On Friday, 3 judges led by the President of the King's Bench Division, Dame Victoria Sharp, ruled the decision to prescribe the group was unlawful, but the ban on the group would remain to give the government time to appeal. They allowed the challenge on 2 of 4 grounds, namely that there was a very significant interference with the rights to freedom of speech, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association, and that the then Home Secretary Yvette Cooper's decision to prescribe Palestine Action was not consistent with her own policy. Current Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has vowed to fight this decision. Taking to Twitter, she said, "The court acknowledged that Palestine Action has carried out acts of terrorism. It concluded that its actions are not consistent with democratic values and the rule of law. Supporting the Palestinian cause is not the same as supporting Palestine Action. The government's prescription followed a rigorous process endorsed by Parliament. I will fight this judgment in the courts of appeal." And attached is a statement which reads, "The court has acknowledged that Palestine Action has carried out acts of terrorism, celebrated those who have taken part in those acts, and promoted the use of violence. It has also concluded that Palestine Action is not an ordinary protest or civil disobedience group, and that its actions are not consistent with democratic values and the rule of law. For those reasons, I am disappointed by the court's decision and disagree with the notion that banning this terrorist organisation is disproportionate. The prescription of Palestine Action followed a rigorous and evidence-based decision-making process endorsed by Parliament. The prescription does not prevent peaceful protest in support of the Palestinian cause," another point on which the court agrees. "As a former Lord Chancellor, I have the deepest respect for our judiciary. Home Secretaries must, however, retain the ability to take action to protect our national security and keep the public safe. I intend to fight this judgment in the courts of appeal." I think she might be one of the worst Home Secretaries we've ever had. It is absolutely disgraceful to go and attack the courts, the High Court, by the way, and say this is a bad decision. You can't simultaneously say, I respect the High Court, but also they're wrong. And by the way, the idea that there was rigorous procedure and evidence to show that Palestine Action are a threat to national security. I mean, we have known for a long, long time, at least a year, through various leaked documents, that Palestine Action posed no threat to national security. Even national security agencies said they were not a threat to national security. And the reason why Parliament voted to back it is, one, because Parliament's full of Zionists or Israel-backing people, but two, the government sneakily added this onto the same bill as 2 other far-right domestic terrorist organisations. 2 organisations that were actually extreme. So, of course, MPs were either voting to allow far-right extremist organisations to continue freely, or they had to vote for Palestine Action to become a terrorist organisation too. It wasn't in a separate bill, and that is utterly, utterly shameless. Now, Mahmood has already faced a backlash from commentators on her announcement that she will appeal. Owen Jones tweeted this: "You have helped facilitate genocide. You have sought to throw grannies behind bars for opposing that genocide. You will lose. You will be remembered only as a monster, and one day it is politicians like you who will end up behind bars for facilitating the crime of crimes." I completely agree with Owen Jones, and I'm glad to see how angry he is, because I'm incredibly angry, despite the good news. Now, Novara Media's Aaron Bastani replied to the Home Secretary: "You'll be defined by this for the rest of your career, but in your defence, it's sad the idiocy of Yvette Cooper that led to this. It was never a tenable position." Right, he is, because, of course, Yvette Cooper was the one who initially facilitated this. By the way, she should go, and I think Shabana Mahmood should resign. But he's also right that she is going to be remembered for this for years to come. Labour MP John McDonnell criticised Mahmood's words. So we have a Home Secretary that is going to fight the judiciary now. This is hardly the language of someone holding one of the highest offices of state. You can disagree with court decisions, but you don't have to use the language usually reserved for the fringes of the right. Despite the High Court allowing for the ban to continue until the appeal, the Met Police announced they would not be enforcing it. The High Court has found that the decision to prescribe Palestine Action was unlawful. However, the group remains prescribed pending the outcome of any government appeal, which means expressing support is still a criminal offence. We recognise these are unusual circumstances. From a Metropolitan Police perspective, officers will continue to identify offences where support for Palestine Action is being expressed, but they will focus on gathering evidence of those offences and the people involved to provide opportunities for enforcement at a later date, rather than making arrests at the time. This is the most proportionate approach we can take, acknowledging the decision reached by the court while recognising that proceedings are not yet fully concluded. This approach relates solely to the expression of support for Palestine Action. We will continue to intervene and make arrests where we see people crossing the line from lawful protest to intimidate, to damage property, to use violence, to stir up racial hatred, or to commit other offences. We are mindful that this decision comes at a time when the impact of a prolonged period of significant protest continues to be felt by communities across London, in particular Jewish communities. We will continue to take an assertive and determined approach to dealing with anti-Semitism and other hate crimes, acting decisively against anyone who tries to use the cover of protests to cause fear and distress to Londoners. Now, that last part of the statement was absolutely not necessary, trying to link this to anti-Semitism, trying to say, well, do you know what? We need to protect communities. This is about Israel and their genocide, but once again, the British institutions are conflating the two. Now, despite the Met releasing this statement, people should still be very cautious. Navarra's Harriet Williamson tweeted this. Met officers have told me that they're still being directed by command to advise sign holders that they could be risking arrest and prosecution. However, in an update, she said, Metropolitan Police Inspector confirms to Navarra Media that police are not expecting to make arrests for sign holding today, even though Palestine Action remains a prescribed organisation until a further hearing later in February. So they're not expecting to make arrests, but they're not saying they absolutely won't. Now, we have known for a long time that the reason to prescribe Palestine Action wasn't on the grounds of violence and national security. Declassified UK has documented this. And now a recent Dispatches documentary from Channel 4 revealed the true reason.
All right, so look at this. This is Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, who made this decision.
It's based on violent action and injuries that this group has taken, including on national security targets, but also injuries to people, and also some disturbing information referring to future planning as well.
So she's sort of implying that she and the government have some kind of disturbing secret info about what Palestine Action are really up to that we don't yet know about.
There will be people who do not know what the nature of this group is. But I would say to people, this is not a non-violent organisation.
The Home Office and Palestine Action's critics have tried to justify the ban by pointing to some kind of extremist ideology or mysterious foreign backer. Amori denies all these allegations, and now a leaked report suggests the real reason for prescribing the group may have been far less dramatic. I've got my hands on a leaked internal intelligence report on the group. This is MI5, MI6, counterterrorism police. This is the official document on the government's assessment of the terror threat of Palestine Action. I've been through this, and we've heard so much about a potential link to Iran, ideological alignment with Hamas, violence against people. The reason that they say that this group crosses the line into terrorism is none of that. It's because 3 out of 385 total incidents mentioned had serious property damage to the extent that the group could be considered terrorist. Serious property damage carried out for an ideological or political cause technically meets the threshold for terrorism in the UK. The report says Palestine Action also crosses the legal threshold for prescription because they plan and promote this property damage. But just because they could prescribe Palestine Action doesn't mean they had to.
Matt Scher, the journalist who led the documentary, also tweeted this. I've spoken to the lead organiser of the protests in support of Palestine Action because this ruling means the ban was unlawful from the outset. They say that not only are the 2,700 arrests and 500 charges they have faced now void, but they are entitled to financial damages from the government. Some of them have lost jobs as a result of the arrests. They now plan to demand a meeting with Shabana Mahmood to discuss what they call reparations, truth and reconciliation. Today, the court found that the prescription of Palestine Action unlawfully interfered with fundamental rights to free speech and freedom of assembly. And crucially, this wasn't a standard statutory deprescription where a prescribed group applies to the deprescribed and, if granted, is taken off the terrorism list going forward, like what happened with the official IRA. Judicial review rewinds the clock. It means the ban was never lawful in the first place. It can still be appealed, but if this stands, it has enormous consequences and raises serious questions for Yvette Cooper. This is Lord Wolney's reaction to the decision on the BBC.
I'm trying to digest and must admit I find it rather perverse, the ruling, the judgment that relates to this idea that this will have a chilling effect on freedom of speech, because I think for most people it's really quite clear that you can say what you like in terms of a cause, and you can stand up for Palestinian rights or whatever, but you're not entitled to break the law.
Lord Walnut, I want to say one thing to you. Fuck off. Kevin, I want to get your reaction to the High Court ruling and your response to Wolney and Shabana Mahmood's vow to fight the verdict.
Firstly, I think it's worth mentioning that Lord Wolney was a former chair of Labour Friends of Israel. A fact that I think is pertinent given his analysis of the situation there. Yes, this is obviously very good news. It gives you some amount of faith, restoration in terms of the British justice system, that if you actually fight properly, you can succeed under the law. The fact that they were prescribed Palestine Action as a terrorist group was obviously government overreach from the very start. And let's just notice the elephant in the room. Zionism. Zionism is the root cause of all of this, okay? The British government's being in hock to Zionist influence is exactly the reason that they do all of these things. They're exactly the reason that they arrest grannies and 80-year-old pastors and disable people for daring to hold a sign, is because they want to do the bidding of Israel. That's it. They are puppets of Zionism and nothing more at this stage. The police, although they have taken a much more mild approach to this, given the decision, have been an arm of that as well. Yvette Cooper should hang her head in shame, and unfortunately, I do have to disagree with oh, for God's sake, what's his name again? Owen Jones. Jesus Christ. I have to disagree with Owen Jones on one particular point, which is that unfortunately Shabana Mahmood and Yvette Cooper won't face jail time for this, because unfortunately we don't live in the world where we actually have a rule of law that applies to all people. These people will not face those consequences. One consequence that at least Shabana Mahmood will face, though, is that she will lose her seat at the next general election. So I will take a certain amount of small joy in that particular thing. But yes, in terms of the consequences of this, it's still technically illegal, as you pointed out, to say that you support Palestine Action, right? Until at least February the 20th, when they have what's called a consequential consequential hearing, which, as the name suggests, sorts out the consequences of the ruling that's just taken place, which will be Shabana Mahmood, although she won't attend herself, I don't think, but her representatives from the Home Office will argue why they want to take forward an appeal, a disgusting appeal, a morally reprehensible appeal, but an appeal they are allowed at least to do, legally speaking. And the judge will decide whether A, they will allow that to go through, and B, whether there will be a stay. Which means that there will be the ban will remain in place during the entirety of that appeal, or whether it will be struck down and they'll have to pass either an emergency piece of legislation or just basically drop the appeal, which may very well be how it works out in the end. But either way, the entirety of this is Zionism. Okay, Shabana Mahmood, the current Prime Minister, at least at time of recording, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the day after, who appointed, of course, yum friend of Jeffrey Epstein and all the rest of it, who himself was a former head of public prosecutions and a lawyer, a human rights lawyer, who seems to not understand the basics of human rights, apparently, and of course has been engaged in a genocide, which is, ditto. They're all in hock to the state of Israel, for any number of different reasons, whether it be ideological, whether it be compromat, whatever the hell it is, it doesn't really matter. This is being done for the state of Israel and nothing else. Again, it's meant to have a chilling effect. Even if it gets overturned, it's partly served its purpose. It's made people question whether they want to come out publicly and support the Palestinian cause, because they don't want to end up in jail for 14 years. And that's the point. When the ruling talks about the infringement on people's freedom of speech, that's the sort of thing they're referring to. This is obviously had the concrete effect of, and I believe the intention of, trying to chill people's free speech in regards to Israel and Palestine and the current genocide that's going on there. And unfortunately, it has in that degree worked, because I think people have been reticent to come out supporting them publicly. But thankfully, due to the work of some fantastic lawyers who've worked on their behalf at the High Court, and of course the hunger strikers and people like this, have kept this issue going. They've kept this issue live, and they're beginning to get victories, both in terms of the hunger strikers themselves and the Palestine Action Group now potentially being certified as a terrorist organisation. And this is a massive win. This is just an unadulterated win at this stage. It doesn't necessarily change anything, at least until February the 20th, but it's an absolute W, and we should celebrate it as such.
Yeah, when you said you were going to disagree with Owen Jones, I knew exactly what part you're going to talk about, because obviously I disagree, which is that these people won't face justice. I don't think Owen agrees with himself there. It's so cathartic to tell a politician you're going to jail. Like, I do that a lot. I'm like, when I tweet at politicians who've been back in a genocide, I'm like, one day you're going to be behind bars. In my head, I'm like, no, they're not, but it is cathartic.
Oh, absolutely. Look, in an ideal world, they all should be behind bars.
In an ideal world, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, every member of the British establishment would be behind bars at The Hague, awaiting trial for their complicity in genocide, let alone their complicity in any number of other crimes as well, of course.
Well, the seat with Tony Blair's name on it, it's just gathering dust. That fucker should be in The Hague.
Yeah, him, George Bush, a lot of them, yeah.
Talk to me about the political fallout of this. It's a huge win. I think it's a win for freedom of speech as well.
Yes.
We have had, it feels like every week is the worst week of the Labour Party's life in government.
It does.
And it's like, we just need to get over this blip, but something worse happens. What's the political fallout from this? How do you think the majority of people are going to respond to, I would say, a huge government defeat?
In the short term, I don't think it necessarily changes anything, because again, they can just forestall it to the consequential hearing on the 20th, right? And that's what this Labour Party loves to do. They just say, well, I won't be revealing what's in the autumn statement. You'll have to wait until then, which just means you've just got a cliff edge at that point, rather than building up to whatever. Anyway, but the point is, I don't think anything will change in the immediate term. The government are still weak as hell and in absolute chaos and stabbing each other in the back and briefing and counter-briefing, but not about this topic yet. Because ultimately, if it gets overturned, there will be some serious questions to answer. I think there will undoubtedly be an urgent question debate in Parliament about this, because if it gets ruled that it was never legal, even though it was voted for by the majority of parliamentarians, those parliamentarians will want to know why the information the government gave them was itself unlawful. You gave the highest court in the land, or at least the highest non-judicial court in the land, Parliament itself, and the elected representative chamber of that Parliament, the information that was unlawful. Which means you are at the very least incompetent or malign actors trying to act in illegal ways to protect X group of people or X movement or X forces. And so I think parliamentarians will want answers to some very probing questions as to how this state of affairs came to be, which puts more pressure on Keir Starmer and exposes far more, of course, the authoritarianism at the very core of this government. Whether it's putting people in jail for 4 years for being on a Zoom call where they were planning to cause public nuisance. They got 4 years for that, for a Zoom call, or whether it's putting people in jail for, quite rightly, calling for the end of genocide against Palestinians, or whatever it is, whether it's trying to get rid of jury trials, which, by the way, Shabana Mahmood, how fucking dare you speak of democratic institutions or democratic action when you are literally trying to strip people's jury trials away from them? Like, it's ridiculous. You're literally allowing the blocking of local council elections for a second year running. So you don't get a jury trial, you don't get elections anymore, but apparently they're the keepers they're the protectors of democracy somehow. It's ridiculous. Like, they are allowed to do to appeal this decision. Of course they are. Everyone who loses is potentially allowed to go forward with an appeal at some point. But the point is, this government always do it, especially when it comes to Israel, because they can't accept that there are limitations on their power. They don't see themselves as servants of people. They see themselves as the masters in this situation. And so the fact that there are people who are not involved in the government who have power over them, i.e. the courts, who can say this is unlawful, they just can't accept that. They have to go with it. This didn't surprise me in the slightest that they instantly came out and said, we're appealing this, even though they can't have taken proper legal scrutiny of the decision and legal advice from the Attorney General, because literally she was out there within a couple of hours of it happening. So there's no way she was properly briefed on this, but it's an instant trigger. This has to be done to allow them to defend Israel. That's it. That's all they were interested in. They know it's unlawful. They knew it was unlawful when they did it. But they don't care because it's about defending Israel and nothing else.
I'm not even going to try to add to that incredible monologue. What I want to do, though, is bring in our producer, Sarah Dalal, and I'm really looking forward to your comments. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Oh, Kev, that was really good. Really good.
Thank you.
Really fucking good. Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I cannot top that. It was informative, it was emotional, and it was well-rounded argument. It's almost like you thought about this, you know?
Yes, yeah. No,
you have thoughts.
I have thoughts, I have feelings, and I have words. Let's go.
Thoughts, feelings, and
Kev the orator.
Disappear. Okay. Like, did they both drop out at the same time? Like,
nah, that's a skill issue in your end, I think.
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm actually dead. Why were you so close to the camera?
No, because my screen is further away, so in order to actually focus on individual messages, okay, I have to go in like that. And usually my camera's up there, so I'm.
It's like when someone gets there.
So it's like,
you know,
it's really small, right? It's small writing on the OBS. It's like 6 feet away from my fucking face, man. No, come on.
Have you tried switching it on and off?
Yes, I've taken my fucking medicine, chat. Shut up.
Fucking hell, we got derailed tonight on a Friday. Turn derailed.
Yeah, the Zionists got me. I was spitting too much truth.
He's a Manchurian candidate for Israel. Whoa! Wow!
Yeah,
wow.
Subsystem does this often, so I
wanted
to say that we see you, Subsystem. You do gift like heavily, like 50 10 memberships is so wonderful. So thank you.
So so you've got rich backers as well, hypocrite.
Yeah. Yep. Don't give a fuck. It's no more Mr. Nice Guy. No more budget.
Yeah, we're in our cameo era.
Yeah, to be fair, Sarah's going to be doing, to get our studio, Sarah's going to be doing a lot of cameos. And she's going to, well, how much do you charge? £50 to start off with and start putting it up?
51. You know?
51, of
but
course.
remember, read them properly first, because some people, like Nigel Farage, have accidentally shouted out prescribed terrorist groups. Or indeed wished Jerry Adams happy birthday as well, which is very funny.
Also, the guy, the paedophile from Lost Prophets. He got
he shouted out Ian Watkins, yeah.
Ian Watkins, that's the guy.
Yeah.
So mad. Honestly, Farage is such a bug out. He's so ridiculous. Drinking his pint as well.
But nothing's better than the cameo where he was going to, was it, I hawk to her on that bussy as it claps.
I hawk to her on that bussy.
It's amazing. Was it my bussy be so talented it's doing cartwheels?
Let me get through.
He's probably going to be Prime Minister. I'm just saying, you know.
No, literally, I rebuke it.
Yeah.
Please, I actually cannot imagine that buffoon will be Prime Minister. Michael gifted £2 and said, "We don't know before Beadle demonetizes the stream."
Literally just swivel on it.
I love this like internet hate between Michael and Kevin now.
Yeah.
And Michael went into Kevin's stream to comment as well. Shit.
It's okay. I've issued a fatwa, so he can't leave his fucking house now. Okay.
Well, he's got like 50
God.
memberships.
Wow, really?
Jeez,
Jesus
man.
Christ.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dale Vince in chat. Yes, let's go.
Hey, Dale Vince. Actually, Dale Vince now follows Turn Left, so maybe he might give us a massive, like, £1 million donation.
You should
we're on
definitely-
Twitter Live. Dale, if you're watching right now, like, give up your wallets. Don't give it to the Labour Party. Fuck them. Give it to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could definitely get him on for an interview. That would be good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I would first ask him, though, why the hell did you back Labour, especially in Bristol when Carla Denham was going to win?
Yeah.
That's something I would ask him. And then talk about green stuff. He probably wouldn't come on now, saying that.
James Holmes said, first the Palestine Action verdict, then Beadle on Turn Left. Great day.
Absolute violations. Just wall to wall grievous.
I'm so sorry, Kevin. Please come back on the show.
No.
Yeah, please do.
No, people are just abusing me.
He's never coming back.
I'm not. You can get get your mate Dale Vince on instead.
Okay, fine.
Screwy949 says Farage says he can't be bought as if it's a given. Absolutely. And then, not really, Rachel Atwood. My congressman put forth a bill to end the embargo, and she's donated
Nice,
$2.
good.
I mean, there's some good people out there.
It literally won't get anywhere, but it's still the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So, shall we start off on a high note and start with Mark, maybe? Says, you're a left-wing racist. You're possessive one, by the way. You're a left-wing racist. You support the persecution, which makes no sense.
What was that then? I missed that.
You're a left-wing racist anti-Semite, and you're having a go at his grammar Nazi.
You're a left-wing racist. You support the persecution of Jews in this country as much as in so-called Palestine. You take it away, guys.
So-called Palestine. I literally know everything I need to know about you from that one phrase. And by the way, I can't say it because of terms of service, but if you wanted to, you could. Have you thought about going to Switzerland? They've got very good healthcare facilities.
Oh my God, we are actually going to be demonetised. Mark Kendall,
What?
obviously...
I'm just saying the Swiss hospitals are really good.
I know
They're really good. They're excellent healthcare. What? It's fine.
I mean... But look, this shit don't work no more. I mean, I was scrolling through Twitter today, and someone got a picture of Carla Denham and ran it through AI. And by the way, just the fact that you've used generative AI means you should be put in a fucking concentration camp or a fucking re-education camp, right? Because she supports
you have a go at
BDS.
you have a go at me for doing a Dignitas joke, and you're like, I'm going to put you in a fucking concentration camp, lad.
Right. And now you say, oh, you're a left-wing racist to support the persecution of Jews in this country, right? Please show me the evidence for that, because there's a big difference between criticising, actually not just criticising, attacking Israel and attacking Jewish people. But then, of course, you say so-called Palestine, because obviously you don't think Palestine is a real country. You don't think it's real, despite the fact that there are people fucking older than Israel. There are people today that were born before the creation of Israel.
Literally
so don't fucking come at me and say, so-called Palestine, Israel was literally created in 1948. But do you know what, Mark? I know you don't believe what you're saying. You know, you could probably claim ignorance before October 7th, but literally no one looks at this and believes, even the biggest Zionists in the media don't believe what they're saying. It's all a fucking grift. Yeah. Either that or they're so embarrassed that they can't go back on their own words. If you believe what you're saying, you might be the only person in the world who actually believes that, and that's a very lonely place. I'm so sorry.
You make very good points there, but I think I do have to agree with Mark, because your defence of yourself as being against the persecution of Jews was threatening to put someone in a concentration camp.
I mean, I meant to say re-education camp, and concentration camp.
Well, look. Sometimes it can be a Freudian slip.
Oh, there we go. Wait, is this? Did you write this?
I am not.
Do you have an alias called Mark?
I'm not Mark
Kendall 5772.
No. That's I'm Mark Kendall 5771. So,
okay, right.
Different person.
His cousin.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, it's an insane comment, but it's ironic.
It's not as good as the one that was like, you should be called Turn Bent. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I love that one.
But honestly, if you want to make Turn Bent merch, I would absolutely wear it, 100%.
Well, maybe that's food for thought there, eh?
Well, look, you wanted to be more optimistic for this year. What's better than an expanded range of very problematic merchandise?
Would I mean, chat? Would people buy it if we had Turn Bent? Merch. The problem is though, it'll be an inside joke, and people were like, "Wow, Turn Left is so homophobic."
Yeah, okay. Well, they get put. Anyone who says it gets put in a concentration camp as well. Fact.
Do you know what? Jim says a great show. A rainbow Turn Left logo.
That would be dope.
Maybe we did
that would be dope.
T-shirts of the logo, but then we could do like a special one, which is like a rainbow.
Yes.
I buy it. Turn Bent Slay. I'm Kay and I would buy it. Or we've got a market for it, people.
Yeah.
So Scottish Soul. This is quite a sweet comment actually. Curtis's dad's sweater and Kev's beard are stealing the show. And then Leo.
Hey, it's from ASOS. my dad doesn't shop in ASOS. I like this jumper. I know you sound like old.
I think it's a nice jumper.
How dare you?
No, not old. Look, a dad jumper's just comfortable. You know?
True. I'm not.
Your jumper and my beard look like they're sat on a couch in front of a wood fire. Having a cup of cocoa. You know, lovely.
Okay.
So, how many additional sources of income from lobbies does this man who can't be bought have again? 12. Okay. So I think everyone's kind of noticing Farage's grift.
He gets paid far more for his outside jobs than he does as an MP, which is probably why he spent more time in America than he has in Clacton since getting elected. Yeah.
It's like when people say, "Oh, but Rupert Lowe, he gives all of his wage to charity." I don't give a fuck, because he's making more from Twitter by rage baiting people, because he doesn't believe half the shit he's saying. He just knows, oh, this is going to trigger people. He gets paid from Twitter, and he's like a millionaire. So when Parliament brought in a wage, right, that was like one of the best things for the working class, because it was, I mean, to be fair, it's still dominated by rich people, right? But back then, only rich people could be parliamentarians because they could afford it. Then they brought in a wage to try and encourage working class people. So when people say, well, this person donated their MP's wage, couldn't give a fuck. He's rich enough to do it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He's rich enough to do it.
Donald Trump does the same thing. Like, he's earning literally hundreds of millions grifting off the American people by being president, but he gives his $400,000 to the National Park Service.
It's literally pennies for him.
Who cares? Yeah, exactly. Like, he could drop 400 grand and not notice. Like, why? It doesn't mean anything to him. Look about, was it the parable of the pennies or whatever it's called in the Bible, where a rich man gives loads of money, but the poor woman gives a penny, and the rich man scoffs at her. And the whole parable is, look, she gave everything she possibly could. That penny meant the world to her, and so it's actually worth far more than the rich man giving a huge amount of money, which he doesn't need and wouldn't notice. You know?
Yeah, I learned that in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
And then obviously Michael was agreeing with the griftiest grifter in politics, which is utterly true. completely true. I don't remember Harting starring this. Darn, I don't have access to NJ's David Mensa remote to shout
I
at
did.
James.
Yeah, so if you don't remember, because obviously when I think you put this on when James was on screen, it was the infamous debate between James Schneider and David Mensa. Both are Jewish, yet David Mensa was saying that you align yourself with Jew haters, you're an anti-Semite. And David Mensa, who's now currently the spokesperson for Israel, he's part of Labour Friends of Israel, and he was obviously attacking James Schneider for being around Jeremy Corbyn, like, oh, Jeremy Corbyn made the party anti-Semitic, whatever. But like, David Mensa was so angry, and it was so funny, and there was so many memes where people turned his face red. I think I covered it, and I think I made a thumbnail which put his face like bright red. If you haven't seen it, please just type in James Schneider versus David Mensa in YouTube. It is so worth it. So worth it.
What was I going to say? Yeah, oh my God, absolutely. No, I completely agree. And then Edward said, oh yes, great news. Now free the prisoners. And it's true.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just so much that needs to be done still, but then when you're getting like
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't want to interrupt. Go on.
No, it's okay. You go.
They probably won't be freed as such, because what will happen is that this will be ruled as illegitimate and unlawful. Let's say that happens and the appeal gets lost. They'll still remain in jail because those prosecutions will still remain legal, or at least lawful, until it gets overturned. And then secondly, the point isn't that they didn't commit crimes, because I don't think anyone realistically says that they didn't,
of course not.
right? Like, they did do violence, right? They did do property damage. But, like, two drunks in a pub car park fighting is violence. What it isn't is fucking terrorism. Terrorism should have a very high ceiling, a high limit that you have to, threshold that you have to cross in order to be described in that way, legally speaking. And so, even if it gets overturned, they'll have a retrial, and they'll just be done under regular civilian law rather than terrorism legislation. So, which will mean a much lower sentence, which they probably already will have served, I imagine, by the time that happens. But realistically, there isn't going to be a Nelson Mandela moment where they're released from the prison gates.
But they accept that. The Palestine Action activists accept we're doing criminal damage. That's okay. They're not. Like, no one's like disagreeing with that. But it's the fact that obviously they were tried at a higher, a higher threshold because terrorism. But by the way, which I agree with you, Kevin. Like, the threshold of terrorism needs to be extremely high.
Yeah,
but it's I think it's very, very low.
Yeah, in the thing it was going about in the documentary from Channel 4, the Dispatches thing, that criminal damage done or damage of private property done for political reasons is terrorism. I'm sorry, the Israeli government just flattened every piece of private property in Gaza Strip. And yet they're not describing the IDF as a terrorist organisation. So miss me with that bullshit.
You can literally, and we've seen the footage, right, where people have, our friend of the show, Samuel Kay, at the Canary, even made a brilliant video where he was going around and as people were getting arrested for holding up signs, he was saying, if I go to a police officer, if I shout, I support genocide and I support Israel, do I get arrested? And they're like, no. And there's amazing videos like that where people are holding signs saying, I support the Israeli genocide. And they're not being arrested, but those who are saying, I support Palestine Action are. And it's crazy because it's like, even on that account, it makes it complete and utter rubbish. I don't expect the government to win on this, on this verdict, or if they try and have a retrial on it or whatever and try and appeal it, that's it. I don't expect them to win this. It makes no logical sense.
No, I don't think they will win it. Although you never know, because they've done all kinds of shenanigans in terms of fucking around with the judges that were on the original panel and stuff, because they thought they might be more likely. And of course, they only lost on 2 of the 4 counts, so it's not as if literally it's going to be an impenetrable case, unfortunately. But I don't expect them to win, because I think the ruling was pretty sound, legally speaking. But regardless of that, again, the point I have to say, and I know this sounds like I'm being a downer here, which in what is generally a good story, but the whole point of from the government's perspective wasn't even that this piece of legislation would necessarily stay in place. It's that they wanted to try and clamp down on people doing protests. Not just for Palestine Action, but they wanted to scare people into not speaking out, because at the behest of a foreign state, by the way, which just means that we're not actually being governed for our own benefit at all here.
Arthur says something interesting. The right wing call the protests hate marches. That's nonsense. That's a nonsense thing for the Met to say.
Yeah.
And then Sweet Beat 7 had said, if the ban is used to incite disgusting racial hatred, not just mass murder, we know who needs arresting. But actually, I don't actually understand this comment. I don't know why I can't wrap my head around it.
If the ban is being used to incite disgusting racial hatred, that doesn't actually make sense. No one's being racist because of the ban, I don't think. But regardless of that, the Met Police mentioned anti-Semitism. That's already covered. That's literally anti-discrimination laws and anti-hatred laws and things like that. Anti-incitement to hatred laws. It already exists. You don't need to invoke terrorism legislation to cover any such instance like that. So, like, it doesn't even impact on this particular piece of legislation because they didn't need to prescribe them. And as you mentioned, they did the really cynical and disgusting thing of tying in 2 other groups into this one piece of legislation, which, by the way, I think would mean they'd have to be prescribed as well and then re-prescribed in a new piece of legislation, wasting more time and parliamentary money. Brilliant and fantastic. One of which was called the Maniac Murder Club. Like, that, it's so cynical what they were doing there. It's so obvious what they're doing. Because then, like, no one's going to vote against that, because who votes to not make the Maniac Murder Cult a fucking terrorist group?
If politicians did that, then you would have the media say, this person voted against this. And
exactly,
It's so, like, the parliamentary system was completely weaponized, and it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I just want to point out for everyone, at the behest of Zionism. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's all this is. The British government is acting on behalf of a foreign state, not its own people.
Martin says, the submission to Israeli state influence is so weird, but I would personally caution against using the term Zionist.
Why?
Yeah,
can I just ask Martin? Yeah, can I ask Martin? Do you also not want me to describe a four-wheeled vehicle as a car? Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm describing the specific thing that it is. It's the ethno-nationalist political movement known as Zionism, which is at the absolute core of the Israeli government and its actions. I'm sorry, like, you might not want me to point at the elephant in the room, but there's a massive fucking elephant in the room and it's killing people. So I'm going to point it out. I mean,
during the anti-Semitism crisis, quote marks, right, during Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, there were a lot of people who were scared to use certain terms. And people were cautious. And I get why. But I think now, given what we went through, and given what the Palestinians are going through, and since the October 7th, people are kind of sick and tired of being cautious now.
Yeah.
People are sick and tired of saying, oh, I don't want to, like, say the word Zionist because I don't want to attack liberal Zionists who are against the government. No, people, I think, are over that now, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't be offended by words and terms. You should be offended by the killing. You should be offended by... I mean, recently I read a fucking story that Palestinians, and I'm, trigger warning, Palestinians were evaporated. That is now a term being used because the way in which they were destroyed, not just killed, literally destroyed. And I think if we're now going to dilly-dally in the year of 2026 saying, well, I would caution against the term Zionism, I'm sorry, I'm absolutely not being cautious anymore. Yeah. I get it when there were figures around the Labour Party who were a bit more cautious, and hindsight is a wonderful thing. I mean, it doesn't mean the criticisms were wrong. It doesn't mean that Jeremy Corbyn shouldn't have pushed harder on the IHRA, for example. But obviously hindsight is a thing. But there was a political project at stake, and, Jeremy Corbyn was very close to becoming Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Now, given all of the context, no one should be afraid to use certain terms when we know that babies are being blown up. When, I saw... I think it was a teenager, was caught on fire and was burning to death because Israel struck a hospital. So I'm no longer being cautious. And being aggressive and refusing to not bow down on terms doesn't then mean you're teetering into anti-Semitism. You are absolutely not. Okay? Zionism and anti-Semitism and Jewish people are two completely separate things. It is a political ideology. Political ideologies do not have protected characteristics, nor does a state. I have in my Twitter bio, burn neoliberalism. Right, no one's saying, are you saying you want to burn Margaret Thatcher? Well, I mean, someone's obviously read my diary. But, no, like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying burn an ideology. You can use aggressive language with an ideology. That's what I want to say, Martin. So you don't need to be cautious because you're not teetering into anti-Semitism. You're teetering into anti-Semitism when you do anti-Semitism, which is to blame Jews for the problems of Israel or to say that Jews control the world. It's not true. You don't need to be worried.
Yeah, this is a bit of a weird point, but I think worth making nonetheless. It's disgusting that the state of Israel has weaponized claims of anti-Semitism to the point where no one really believes even real claims of anti-Semitism anymore.
Absolutely.
It's
100%.
It's disgusting, but one very slight positive to that, unfortunately, is that people don't need to fear those accusations anymore.
Yes.
Because no one believes them. Because they're just like, Benjamin Netanyahu stubbed his toe today. Oh, it's anti-Semitism. Like, no one cares. No one gives a fuck. No one believes it. No one buys into it anymore. So just say anti-Semitism. Just say Zionism if you mean Zionism, because they're going to call you an anti-Semite just for pointing out that Palestinians are being killed. So just say the thing that's on your fucking mind. You know,
it's like I was very scared to make Holocaust comparisons. And I think it's understandable to be scared to make those comparisons because Jewish people, I mean, there were many victims, right? But in terms of number, Jewish people were the biggest victims of the Nazi Holocaust, right? Yeah. And now Israelis and, Zionist Jewish people are the occupiers. They're not the victims when it comes to Israel. Palestine, of course, as Kevin points out, Jewish people are still victims of Zionism with a conflation, right? I used to be very scared to make Nazi comparisons, and anyone that did was like harangued out of public life. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that genocides are not bound to a particular ethnicity. Yeah. Jewish people are not a special victim when it comes to genocide, right? Genocide is genocide. So it is absolutely salient to be like, there are absolute comparisons to the Holocaust than what's happening in Palestine. You can pick out quotes from Israeli politicians, okay? Yeah, and you can match it up with Hitler quotes and they will be exactly the same verbatim. And we're supposed to pretend, let's not make comparisons. And the point is, making comparisons is educational. Just how we said, how we always said, never again, right? That's the point, never do it again. It's actually very important if you see a comparison that's what's happening with Palestinians to what happened with Jewish people in the Holocaust, right? That's an educational thing to say, look at the parallels. We're doing it again. This is how we learn not to do it again. So people cannot be scared in the face of, as Owen Jones said, the crime of crimes. There is no bigger crime than genocide.
Yeah, that is true.
I bloody agree with that. So well said.
Excellent, powerful stuff, yeah.
Just last two comments, but Shabana is somehow worse than Patel and Braverman combined. And that's saying something, because Prissy Patel and Suella Braverman were really atrocious.
They were appalling, but at no point did they actively be like, you know what we need? Panopticon.
Yeah, literally like, I love Panopticon. Like, no, oh my God.
Yeah.
That Jeremy Bentham fella, I quite like him.
Why is it that every dystopian writer at some point, very possibly after they're dead, unfortunately, has to be like, no, this was a warning against this. It wasn't a fucking manual. You weren't supposed to follow it.
I thought it was. Yeah. And the thing is, though, it's Shabana is worse than Patel and Braverman because it's about the Overton window. People, and look, I still wholly believe that the Conservatives in power would not have prescribed Palestine Action. I don't think they would have done that. I think Labour have gone further. I know you may disagree, and I have my reasons as to why. I think one of the reasons is because Labour are so obsessed about being the authoritarian grown-ups in the room, whereas at least there's a libertarian bent in the Conservatives. Now, by the way, that's not to say it's impossible. Like, it's absolutely, possible that a Conservative government would do this. But I actually think it was more likely a Labour government would do it. But also, Shabana is worse than Patel and Braverman because the Overton window is shifted. And of course, there are many people out there who still think the red team must be the gooder team and the blue team are the badder team. It doesn't matter. The 1960s Conservatives, at least economically, are way to the left of a Keir Starmer Labour government today because the post-war consensus, the political debate has moved to the right. Yeah. And Labour is not holding the fault line. Yeah. They're moving with it, which is why Keir Starmer is to the right of David Cameron, while Shabana Mahmood is to the right of Patel and Braverman.
Well, exactly, and not just that, but on the point, we must be borne in mind that she is technically a Labour politician. I expect the Tory Home Secretary to try and fuck me. Like, obviously, they're going to try and take away your rights and start wars and do genocides, because they're the fucking Tories. That's what they do. Like the scorpion on the frog's back. It's just what they do. right? Whereas the Labour Party were always supposed to be at least something of a moderating force in that regard. I was never expecting them to be brilliant, but look at the fucking the slew of scumbags that the Labour Party in the last 30 years has put into that position. People like fucking David Blunkett and Shabana Mahmood and Yvette Cooper, just the dregs of humanity.
It's like what Hassan Pike. Sorry, it's what like Hassan Pike has said.
Yeah, the America deserved 9/11. Yeah.
He didn't say that. Well, he did say that.
He did say that, yeah.
He did say that. No, Hassan Piker said, look, a Democrat would kill a trans person if it get them votes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the difference. Like the Republicans would kill a trans person, they try and do that through policy, because they're so sycophantic and they just love doing that.
Yeah.
A Democrat would be like, oh, I don't feel good about it, but if it gets me votes, I'll do it. And that's kind of the point, right? That's the real difference between Labour, Conservative, Democrats, Republicans, right? And I am being a little bit facetious in the way that there is a lot of things that is different between the Republicans and the Democrats, but their mindset and the way they govern is kind of like the Democrats would kill a trans person if they feel like it got them votes.
But then,
maybe
also
the intention is slightly different to Republicans, but the outcome is the same.
But they'll change the Democrat logo in their Twitter handle to pink during Pride Month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pink Democrat logo 6-7. You know, Kamala Harris, I do genocide 6-7, but I feel bad about it. It's kind of the point.
Well, I'm wondering why they didn't Pokemon go to the polls.
Oh, God.
That's so 2020.
Had that happened, they would have won.
2019.
Exactly, yeah.
Just last one, and I want to show some donos that came through whilst we were talking. But Kelly had a question and said, Britain is historically a centre-right country. The country needs change, but the sensible middle are naturally more towards the reform spectrum. How do we move the decent?
Disagree.
Yeah, I disagree with that. So I wanted you guys to unpack that if possible.
No, well, I thought you had thoughts. I've got thoughts.
I do, but I want to let you go first because I spoke for at length.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's more complex than that. You've got to bear in mind that even at the height of the Conservative Party, they were never getting 50+%, really. The system is sort of set up to enforce more conservative government than the people of the country actually want. That's why conservative forces have never ever wanted to get rid of first past the post or the House of Lords or the monarchy or whatever. You've got to bear in mind the amount of systemic pressure there is on the country to vote for certain things and certain politicians. And to deny other politicians like Jeremy Corbyn, for instance, who was, again, a very popular politician, a very unpopular politician with a lot of people as well. But the fact that he was able to garner a much higher percentage of the population than Keir Starmer or whoever, I think shows that there's a very significant part of the country that is pretty progressive. So it's not a matter of trying to move people necessarily, because I think there are some people who aren't going to move. But also, it's not a matter of just doing that right now. Boomers are dying. That's just a fact. They're fucking old. Younger people are coming through. And the right wing have shot themselves in the dick on this one, because the old pipeline was that you were left wing when you're younger and you became more right wing as you became financially more invested in the system. Now, younger people can't afford to buy a house. So they're not interested in housing prices staying the fucking same or ever increasing. And so that pipeline has been shut down completely, basically. Younger people are not moving to the right. They're becoming a larger part of the cohort. And so naturally over time, I think things will get better. But it doesn't mean that that's going to be a panoply for everything, because you're still going to have the media in the hands of right-wing bastards. The BBC has been Toryised to fuck.
People, but when you speak to majority of people, okay, they may not be as progressive as we are, but people are kind of like live and let live. I just want equal rights for all. Just think about how when there's like a turf rally, there's a pathetic like 10 people showing. Remember when the Supreme Court ruled basically in favour of the gender criticals? Me and you, Sarah, we were there at the emergency impromptu trans liberation rally. Like tens of thousands of people turned up just like that, but you couldn't get a turf rally to do that. So don't let the media and Twitter propagandize it. You think, oh, the country's very, very right wing. Of course, there are many people in the country who will have more conservative beliefs than you, but there are people who are definitely quite progressive, want to see progressive change, and yet political parties don't represent people. And in fact, like, the Conservatives won the election in 2010 not because, oh, I'm really, really right wing. Yes, and Natalie, who's in our chat, we met at the Trans Liberation Rally. Largely, people don't think in terms of left and right. Most people aren't very sort of don't ideological. And at that time, people thought the Conservatives were the best party to govern because they thought they were just more sensible and no one could vote for Ed Miliband. That's how people vote. People don't think, oh, I'm right-wing, I'm going to vote for a right-wing party. We think like that, but most people are like, oh, I quite like this guy. He seems to be making sense because political communication is key. It's how you can have a Conservative majority in 2015 and have a 40% of the vote Jeremy Corbyn-led Labour Party just 2 years later. Yeah. Because politics isn't as simple as that. So, Kelly, I don't agree that the country's centre right or right wing. We actually are quite progressive, and give it time when the boomers, die out. You are going to see a shift, and I agree. It doesn't suddenly mean we're going to become a socialist utopia.
Anyway, just in conclusion, America deserved 9/11.
Oh, Kevin, stop
for God's sake.
But Kelly,
Kevin, at least say
What?
Minecraft.
What? I was cut off mid argument. I just need to sum up my point.
But I think Kelly raised a
demonetised.
good question and it was answered really well. So yeah, I think it was a good question that I think opened up a bit of discourse. Eco-Socialist gifted £10 and said,
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
to resign for prescribing Palestine Action, a terrorist group, when she was Home Secretary.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that was echoing what Kirsty
She also
said.
needs to resign because she lied about having 4 different kinds of bunting and a Union Jack fucking tablecloth.
Yeah. Oh, I've got bunching up. No, you fucking don't.
No, you don't.
You're such a liar.
Yeah, it's such bollocks. You're a lying fuck. Go away.
And then Leo, £5. Thank you so much, guys. Honestly, really generous tonight. Whilst you celebrate the spin, please also remember the future judicial destruction of trans rights that happened today. And absolutely, Leo.
Yeah.
So we recognise that, and I think it's important that we don't forget that. And that goes
It's
to everyone.
it's they call it it's the struggle. It's a never-ending struggle, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
But I know that I dragged the comments on a little bit, but I thought they were really good comments, and we're just really, really grateful, guys. What an incredible community, but great show, and I'm gonna retreat back.
Thank you. Yeah, we were like, let's try and get an hour, and we always say before the show we're going to try and keep it to an hour and 35 minutes. But you know what? It's Friday, it's with Kevin, and it's a wonderful, wonderful comment section and wonderful viewers. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and by the way, thank you to the donations today. I mean, just one donation is so we're so grateful, but particularly tonight it was very, very generous. So thank you for that, and of course, thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on tonight. And you filmed for Ben actually, but I'm glad you're here. But I don't think Ben's watching this, so I'm glad you're here.
Well, look, a COG, as I've always known them, although apparently they do have like a legal name or something. Is a long time acolyte, so I'm very much happy to.
But yeah, absolute pleasure that you came on. Of course, remember to like this stream, and if you're not a subscriber, then please hit that button, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live and a new video drops. If you want us to grow, then you can head over to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. There is a link to our Patreon where you can support us monthly, or follow the other link to give us a one-time contribution. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member for just 99p. Before we wrap up, I think we've had just a last-minute dono. So I will read that out. Paul Webster Lincoln. Bad news, Kevin. Bad news. Richard Murphy sold out of seats in Cambridgeshire. Good news. He has some upcoming in Norwich and Edinburgh. I believe you were talking about that, weren't you?
Was that
the audience can't hear you? But
yeah. I think that was The Economist they were going to see, which I mistake. I thought I don't know who Richard Murphy is. I thought he was a musician or something. Anyway.
Yeah, he's not. But anyway, it's sold out. But he's going to be back in Edinburgh and Norwich. Again, thank you to everyone who tuned in. My name's Curtis Daly. You've been watching Normal Islands Live. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. You still going, Kev? I've read into you.
Yeah, I'm going to watch Question Time because I didn't do it yesterday.
How did you do that on YouTube without getting pulled?
Well, I just do it.
Look.
I just do it, and it's
fucking hell, we'll do like 30-second clips, and our stream gets fucking pulled down, and then like.
I don't know why. I don't know why they don't. I was playing some copyrighted music the other day as well, and it didn't get pulled down. So.
Oh, lucky bastard.
Maybe. Well, it's not luck. It's skill. Clearly.
Well, no, that's skill issue.
Yeah.
Okay, if you say so.
Look,
yeah,
I've got YouTube Riz. That's all it is.
Yeah, I don't have that Riz.
No, you do. You do.
No, I don't. Fucking superb show again though. That was brilliant.
That
Really
was good. I like that. Yeah.
It was worth the extra long show, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the comments were good, and also like your analysis, both of you, was just so incredible. So yeah,
And that
honoured to
getting
share this
getting
place.
Schneider in as well was good. That's a good. That's a
Well,
decent.
he actually DM'd me about the flotilla.
Oh,
'Cause I was
nice.
like, thank you, because I didn't know about the Cuban flotilla, and he messaged me yesterday saying like you put like a press release.
So
It's
now,
like,
look, you're the media person. That you're the person that people go to get interviewed. You're basically like Rupert Murdoch, except not nearly dead.
and hopefully better looking.
I don't know. You're both quite handsome in your own ways.
I mean, he looks like an egg that's been rotted for about 100 years.
He looks like a tortured ballsack. Yes.
Tortured bullshit. That's so fucking true. But I'm so grateful that he did, because I had no idea about the story. I didn't see it. So it's going to be one of those we're probably going to cover as a developing story, and because we did a few like live streams of the footage of the Samud flotilla, so I imagine we might do the same for Cuba.
Yeah.
Also,
just on the point, Greta Thunberg's on it. I'm just like, that bitch just stays on the right side of history. Like, is there anything? Yeah, she's going on that flotilla.
Oh,
And I'm like, that's fucking amazing. Like, she could have had the most comfortable middle class Swedish life, right? And she's gone, nah, fuck it. You know what I'm gonna do? War zones, motherfuckers. Let's go. Let's fucking have
I
some.
reckon it's going to come out though, like years later, she likes pineapple and pizza, and then we will just fucking cancel her.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Join America.
Look, I'm going to duck off to eat and stuff, but wonderful show. Love Kevin's audience, and enjoy the rest of the question time reaction.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, everyone.
Guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Kev.
Bye.
Night. Well, there you go, chatty chat. Oh, you don't need that. That's the DMs. Oof. Thankfully, my nudes were posted a few days back. Otherwise, you'd have seen some genuinely graphic material. Anyway, yes, time for slop. We've done serious politics. Now it's time for slop with Christian. Is that Nadine fucking Dorries? I can't see. Is it? Who have we got here? Oh, Ellie Chowns is on, so that's cool. Yeah, fucking Nadine Dorries is on. Oh, suck a massive cock. At least that gives Suze Kempner a reason to get the wig out again. Just saying. What's wrong with pineapple and pizza? You know what's wrong with pineapple on pizza. Don't fucking start with me.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
NJ is doing a podcast. Indeed, she is doing a podcast. In that there London, no less. Yeah. It's genuinely, look, it actually is on a personal level. I'm genuinely proud of people like Curtis and Helena and these people who are like genuinely making their way as like journalists, news people, to the point where James Schneider, the guy who fucking co-founded Momentum, is now DMing him saying like, oh,
get some help.
Maybe I could come up. Maybe I could go on the show and talk about this fucking flotilla to Cuba. You know, like that's fucking dope. That's so good. And now NJ's doing all this fucking like podcasts and all this shit. It's awesome. Love it.
Warning, Kev, the unspoken topic is on.
Oh, the thing we never talk about. The thing we never ever talk about. That topic gets talked about. What a surprise. That's crazy. But anyway, yes. So we'll do a cheeky bit of question time. If my stream dies again, I might just stop because it's fucking annoying. But there we go. Thank you. By the way, thank you. I can't scroll back far enough, but thank you to people who gave money during that bit. I had to turn the noise box off because it distracts me. Thank you, Katie, for that donation.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting a membership on the YouTubes. Thank you, Swirly Curly, for gifting for resubscribing for 40 months, you mad bastard. And thank you, Phil Decker, with 100 bitty bits. We're on a hype train on the Twitch. If you want to make the hype train go choo choo, bits and sobs. That's how it goes. And if we get to level 2 of the hype train, I will finger Margaret Thatcher, because she was mentioned in the show earlier, so I will finger her corpse again. Anyway, question time from Bristol. It's really odd that it's in Bristol and the Greens have an MP in Bristol, but instead they've got a Green MP from fucking like Gloucestershire or wherever the fuck it is.
Every week, Question Time travels to a different part of the United Kingdom. Tonight, we come to Bristol, a city shaped by its maritime history and a strong tradition of political activism. It has a
And slavery. Don't forget the slavery.
thriving creative and tech scene and a world-class aerospace industry. As usual...
Where's Helena? She's in that there London. She's got southern ways.
Our audience members arriving here tonight reflect the general political picture across the nation. And tonight they want to ask about the turmoil in Downing Street. Can Keir Starmer really hang on? And the immigration row sparked by those comments by Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
Who's already apologised, by the way, because he realised, oh shit, I'm in a public-facing role. That's not very good.
Stop it. Get some help.
Herefordshire is early, okay. Which isn't that, I suppose, isn't that far away from Bristol, but like, yeah. Any more volume on the... Oh yeah, I can turn it up if it's a bit low. Yeah, there you go.
Welcome to Question Time from Bristol. On the panel from the government, the Defence Minister Luke Pollard. He entered Parliament in 2017 representing...
He's a Labour Party politician, but he looks like he came out of the Tory Party MP factory. He's just like... That is the MP for Mid-Somerset in 1972. Look at him. Cunt.
Plymouth. It's his job to prepare British forces for what he calls a new era of threat. From the Conservatives, Ben Spencer is a shadow science minister. Before politics, he worked as a doctor.
Oh my God!
Specialising in...
The Tory MP factory is churning these cunts out by the million. Look at him. Look, he has the kind of chin that would have fired upon innocent Indian people. Look at him. Look at him. Put a pith hat on him and he's gunning down Zulus by the million.
Mental health. Nadine Dorries was once a Conservative minister serving as Boris Johnson's culture secretary.
Literally the most mental cunt who ever made it into the British cabinet. Fact.
She now backs reform after proclaiming that the Tory party is dead. And Ellie Chowns is the Green MP for North Herefordshire, who says Keir Starmer has lost the trust of the country and needs to go. Good evening, welcome our panellists, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to our audience here in Bristol, great to see you, and welcome, of course, to you at home. Let's get started with our first question, which is from Carl Wilcock.
Yeah, hi. Is the Keir Starmer now a lame duck Prime Minister?
Yes. Next question.
That's coming your way, Luke.
Vicky, I was literally asking that same question. Why go to Bristol and not have the Green MP in Bristol? Why choose someone from the Green Party who isn't an MP in fucking Bristol? Like, it does... Oh, anyway. I suppose it doesn't really matter. None of the other people are from fucking Bristol either.
No, I don't think he is. I think what I wanted to see from a politician, from a leader, especially after so many years of chaos, is someone that can...
Was several nonce scandals in the same week? That's what we voted for. We voted for an end of Tory chaos and a return of Labour noncing chaos. Fuck yes! Change you can believe in.
Try things, make mistakes, but admit they've made mistakes, apologise for it, learn those lessons, and do better. And I don't think any of us want to return to the melodrama, the political chaos that we saw over the last decade.
But we were there. It didn't fucking change. It didn't for the Labour Friends of Paedophiles. The LFP. I mean, that's basically just the Labour Friends of Israel, isn't it? Given it that, as we've called it, it's nonce Wakanda. Like, it's, you know.
What have we just seen over the last week?
I want to see the Prime Minister.
They're literally laughing at him. Already, the first sentence he has spoken, and they're fucking giggling at him. This is not a comedy show. Laughter is not an ideal reaction to the serious political analysis you're supposed to do.
I want to see the Prime Minister focus on the issues that matter. That means, yes, restoring trust. It also means learning where...
Restoring trust, yeah, no. Isn't he the most distrusted Prime Minister of all time? Yeah.
Mistakes have been made, and he's been very honest this week, which is what I want to see from a political leader. I want to see someone that, if they make a mistake, admits it, learns the lessons, and then does better. And that's precisely what I've heard him say this week to parliamentary colleagues, what I know the public want us to do. Focus on getting stuff done, changing Britain for the better, delivering the manifesto. Now, we're making progress in that.
There's nothing in the manifesto. What are you talking about? Delivering what, exactly? What, just the word change? Thanks.
But I'm an impatient so-and-so as a minister. I want us to make progress faster. And the more time we spend on Westminster ups and downs...
Restoring trust. True. Well, look, all I'll say is she had one very good policy. And it involved a box. In a box. In a box.
Who's doing up and down. I don't think that's where the public want us to be. Focus on the issues that matter. But we've got to learn from this week, because I don't want to see this week repeated again. Frankly, I want us focusing on bringing down NHS waiting lists further, growing the economy.
Fucking thumb-pointing cunts. Oh, I've done media training.
Getting our public services in a better shape.
Okay, well, look,
that's what we're making progress on.
You say you don't want it to be
do.
repeated. You've got a transport union, the TSSA, affiliated to Labour tonight, just tonight, saying Starmer's got to go and be replaced by Angela Rayner. So this is just going on and on.
He's not going to get replaced by Angela Rayner, unfortunately, which would be funny. Imagine if Bez became Prime Minister. That'd be amazing.
I don't agree with them. I respect that in a democracy people can have different views, and it's okay to have different views.
And she should, just for the bit, when she comes back from the palace and has been ensconced as Prime Minister, because that's the way it works here in this fucking made-up country, she should walk down Downing Street with a pair of maracas. Like, really embrace the Bez Prime Minister meme. Why not? I think people would respect it.
As long as you debate maturely and don't be muppets to each other. And I think it's right that in a big organisation like the Labour Party, a big family where people do have different views, and many of those views are passionately held, that we have a debate, we have options on the table that we can discuss and debate properly. But this week...
The Labour Party did used to have different opinions in it, and then you got rid of everybody who disagreed with you in any way whatsoever. You cunts.
Not been a great week for Labour, I don't think, but I want to see us learn from the mistakes that have been made, as the Prime Minister set out, and do better and focus on the things that actually matter, bringing down waiting lists, growing the economy, tackling misogyny in our communities. These are the things that I think people want their government focused on.
Is Keir Starmer now a lame-duck Prime Minister, Ben?
Well, I'd call him a zombie Prime Minister, because he seems to be...
Oh, God! His fucking accent is as posh as his chin. Like, he's literally just... Like, are we sure that this person wasn't the fucking... the Governor-General of the Raj back in 1827? And is, like, transported here via time travel or something? What is this creature?
Wandering around aimlessly at the moment, sort of neither really dead or alive. And my question is, will he still be here, Luke, 28 days later?
Oh, that's a very good film reference. Well done, Ben. Yes, I think he will be still here, yes.
OK. I had no idea you were going to start doing film references. Right, man at the very back, in the black T-shirt, yeah.
I just wanted to say that you used the term mistake, but I think appointing someone who had connections with a known paedophile to be ambassador to US is not a mistake, that's a disgrace.
True. The applause. I love it. Oh. Also, why does that guy in the middle look like the Yorkshire Ripper? Let's not look. Come on now. You know he does. You know what I'm talking about as well, because he looks exactly like the fucking Yorkshire Ripper. Oh no. Okay.
Yes, I know the glasses.
You also talked about how he's making mistakes and learning from them,
But how many mistakes is too many mistakes? With the U-turns on PIP, on winter fuel, on the child benefit cap, when is that enough?
Man here at the front.
Fair enough, yeah.
I appreciate people make mistakes because that's how we learn in life. But what I don't appreciate is somebody who shows constant poor judgment in his tenure so far.
Yeah,
and that's appalling.
Ellie.
Yes, Carl, I completely agree with you. Keir Starmer is absolutely a lame duck. He's teetering on the edge of the precipice. You know, Labour MPs this week decided to pull back, not quite kind of push him over the edge, but it's only a matter of time, perhaps after the Gorton and Denton by-election, perhaps after the local elections, you know, Labour are going to have really bad results.
Oh, that's a point, yeah, school check. Who was the Tory? Ben Spencer. Okay. Let's have a look. I don't know who Ben Spence is. Ben Spencer is this guy politician, not the rugby player. Okie dokie. He was born in Liverpool with the least Scouse accent ever. Runnymede and Weybridge. He attended a state grammar school in the West Midlands. Okay, local. Has a master's in mental health and law, but it doesn't say from where. He has a website. Okay, let's have a look. Ooh. About Dr. Ben Spencer. I went to a state grammar school in the West Midlands and attended medical school in London. So no, I mean, okay. To be fair, he appears to have had a somewhat normal upbringing, kind of.
Results. Maybe they're just keeping him in place so that he's a useful fall guy after that. In the meantime, he is incredibly weak. And I agree with the gentleman here who talked about judgment. You know, let's remind ourselves what's happened here. It's not just this week. Actually, all of this broke last week about the Mandelson scandal. But that is something that dates back a really long time. And not only did he appoint Mandelson despite knowing that he had this connection, ongoing connection with Epstein, we've also had another Labour member of the House of Lords, Matthew Doyle, this week, who's had to be basically chucked out because of his connections with the paedophile. Also this week,
a different paedophile, by the way. So we've had multiple non-connected paedophile scandals in the Labour Party this week. The fact that Keir Starmer is there just shows how unbelievably ludicrously hand-picked all of those candidates were in the general election. They're just Starmer loyalist droids. He should have been removed. This is ridiculous.
we've been raising questions about the MOD's contract with Palantir, perhaps facilitated by Peter Mandelson in his conflict of interest role, both in relation to his job, his interests in Global Council, and then his job working with the Prime Minister. There was a meeting between the Prime Minister, Mandelson and Palantir last year, and then subsequently a contract allocated to this organisation without any due process. So,
without any tendering, literally British companies were not allowed to even apply for that contract. That's legal, apparently.
We've got huge questions to ask. Labour has huge questions to answer, and fundamentally...
Why are you shaking your head, you fucking garbage bag? Honestly, I don't know who this cunt is, but I don't like him.
Keir Starmer does have to go. He's lost the confidence of the country. He's lost the trust of the country, not just the last few weeks, but as the gentleman there said, multiple U-turns over multiple months. It is absolutely time for him to go. And in fact, it's time for a change, which is why so many people are wanting to vote Green at these upcoming elections, because they are disillusioned with Labour and they want people that they can genuinely trust.
True.
You'll get a chance to talk about Palantir in a moment.
True
I just want to ask you,
true and based, awesome, love to see it. Well done, Ella.
Your view, I know clearly you're no fan of Keir Starmer, but I'm interested particularly because you've been present at the defenestrations of two Prime Ministers, Theresa May and Boris Johnson. How do they compare?
I was in the room. So the Labour MPs have only been in Westminster for 18 months. They're still wet behind the ears. They haven't got a clue how to defenestrate a Prime Minister. It happens by, Conservative MPs...
It's not literally defenestration, by the way. They don't get thrown out of a window. And I'm not suggesting they should be. Obviously, that would be violence and terrorism or something. Did you know it's illegal to say we should throw the Prime Minister out of a window? That's illegal. You can't do that.
Regicide runs in their veins. I'm not surprised your answer was short, Ben, because Conservative MPs plot and they scheme and they plan and they have
She's still
no
salty.
moral ethics whatsoever.
She's still salty over her boy toy. Her beau. Boris Johnson being kicked out. Honestly, she is a woman scorned.
When it comes to taking down a Prime Minister, because it's all about personal ambition and it's not about the country.
But also, you
And
were
that's
a
what
Conservative MP.
But I was not a plotter or a schemer.
Yes,
and I
you
didn't
were.
put my own personal ambition before the country.
Yes,
and what
you
you will
did.
see happen now is those Labour MPs, they've learnt their lesson. Andy Burnham, this didn't start on Monday, this started 2 weeks ago, when Andy Burnham decided he'd move from his kingdom of Greater Manchester and come down to Westminster and take Starmer's place. What he discovered was that Morgan Sweeney, Starmer's former right-hand man, had anticipated that move and he blocked him from being able to do that. Keir Starmer has the weight of the number 10 machine behind him, and it is formidable. And a Prime Minister can hold on with that machine behind him for some time. And what Labour MPs will start doing now is it will be death by 1,000 cuts. They will start to undermine Keir Starmer. You saw it with Lisa Nandy this morning. You saw it with Angela Rayner this afternoon. You've seen it with the unions tonight. It won't stop, Luke. Every day there will be a bad headline now for Keir Starmer. And it will probably come, as right after the Manchester Gorton by-election, or it will come after the May local elections. But what they will do now, those Labour MPs, the Angela Rayner camp, the left want to be in power, the West Streeting camp, New Labour, what's left of New Labour, they want to be in power. You will see them, both camps, now constantly undermine Keir Starmer. Watch the press every day. Somebody will make, and I was not surprised to hear Lisa Nandy making those comments.
So
this
what
morning.
comments are you referring to exactly?
What she made the comments that number 10 was dripping with misogyny, that Keir Starmer, I think, needs to get a grip or something. There was something she
But
made.
she didn't
that
call
was
for him to go.
No, she stopped short of that. She said something on the lines of, how can you revamp a man? When she was asked, could Keir Starmer be revamped? And she said, he's a person. We can't revamp him. So she was not positive in her comments.
Having read that interview, I don't think she was saying that as a criticism, but I really just
But it's how it's
she's
been
made other
taken.
comments as well. Denton and Gorton, I think you're referring to, rather Manchester and Gorton.
And then they'll
hugely
put the
offended by
knife
that.
in. When they've done enough of that, then they'll put the knife in when they know he's weak enough.
Man here in the front.
I must admit, I hear what you're saying, and I hear what everyone said so far, the disappointment in Keir Starmer's selection, but ultimately, I want politics and politicians to actually solve our problems, and this is good, but really the problem we need to solve is